One. Boom. We're going. We're live.
Hello,
Want to
everyone.
introduce us?
My name is Morgan. My Earth name. Her Earth name is
Ciara.
Ciara.
This is our first podcast. Do we even have a name for the podcast at this point?
No,
We
not
don't.
yet.
So I'm assuming by the time this goes up, we will have a name. But I think the
Possibly.
first episode had to be recorded first before we could really go there, don't you think?
I guess so, because I haven't really been given anything by my guides.
Me either, and I was just waiting. So yeah, I guess the first episode we're really just going to be answering any questions that anybody has in regards to comments they have left.
Mm-hmm.
I guess we can go over if you have any frequently asked questions as well. I can't think of any, but if they come to me, I'll bring them
Oh,
up.
I have so many questions I get asked all the time.
Really?
Yeah.
We want to do those ones first, and then we'll get into the ones that were actually like asked.
Sure. I don't know. What are my frequently asked questions?
I'm trying to think of something that you've like said before, even if it's like something that has triggered like your ego before. This is a safe space to really, my neighbor's waving at me, sorry. A safe space to talk about it, you know?
Yeah, I'm really excited for this podcast. We've been talking about it for so long. Like, how long even?
I don't know, probably months.
Yeah.
We finally just had to act on it. And somehow, as soon as we like said we were going to act on it, like I got this camera and things are
I
just
got my
kind of
MacBook.
Yes, she got a MacBook so she doesn't have to record on a phone anymore. And it's really been falling into alignment, I think. For
It's
sure.
very aligned.
It is.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. First of many. What?
I'm just cracking up because we're both just smiling.
I
Happy
know.
to be
Just
doing
happy.
it. It doesn't really matter what we're talking about. We're just happy to be doing it.
Yeah. We've only made one video together.
Yeah, I know. I was surprised we didn't make a video whenever we were together in the physical, but it was almost as if we
It didn't fall into
have a
alignment.
lot of time and it just had to be like very now moment, like so now moment that there wasn't even a stop to be like, hey, let me get on my phone and let's do this, you know? I think I have like 2 clips of you on my camera. And if you see me looking down, it's because my camera's right here and I'm looking down at your picture when I'm talking.
Oh, you're in the big screen for me.
Oh, really? So do you even see yourself at all?
I'm in the upper right hand corner, but I'm not really looking at myself.
I'm not looking at myself either. Yeah, what about, okay, we'll start with my question then. Let me pull it up really quick. The first one that I had read to you, and then we'll do the Starseed one. Okay, so this person says, do we ever feel nervous or anxious doing something that we love, that's inside of us that we know is the right path to follow? They're saying that they always feel that way and they want, they actually said, I think it is the ego wanting everything to be perfect. And that is so 100% accurate. The ego will create problems. I don't know why. I'm sitting here thinking about it, like, why does the ego want to create problems?
It's trying to keep us safe.
Yeah, it's learned from everything that's happened in your life and all the experiences that you've went through, and that really is it. It knows safety and it knows what comfort is, and staying in the same place sometimes can be comfortable and not doing the new things that you want to do. But
that's exactly what it is. When you know intuitively, you have that intuitive pull within you to go do something, and then you know that it feels good and you know it's aligned with your soul and your highest timeline, but the ego is always going to be there. So when the ego comes in, I feel like I'm talking to you, but
you are, it's fine.
Yeah, I know. Anyways, okay, so when the ego comes in and tries to make you feel safe, it says, oh no, you shouldn't do that because it's outside of your comfort zone, because all of these bad things are going to happen when you go do it, because blah 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 blah. But the way that you follow your higher self is that you just do it. You just do it and you live presently. So so what's coming through right now is when you're living present, the higher self is going to tell you go do something, and it's not going to tell you what's going to happen when you go do it. The ego tells you go do this because this and this is going to happen. But when you're living present and you're living with higher self is going to tell you go do this because it feels right to you.
Mm-hmm. And the interesting part about that is something that I've been learning is that no step is really the wrong step. If it feels right in the moment, it really is the right step. The outcome may not be what you thought it would be, but it's always taking you closer to learning how to follow your internal guidance system, which is really going to be what ultimately leads you to happiness, you know? And really the ultimate goal here is happiness. I would say love and happiness, and that's it. Nothing else really, nothing at all really matters. Do you think? I'm just holding this thing. I'm just like, yeah.
Yeah, it's about following your joy.
Yes. Following and like almost like chasing it as well, don't you think? Just not being
I don't
afraid.
necessarily think that it's about chasing. I feel like we attract it.
That's true. Yeah, you don't even really have to chase it.
Yeah,
I like that.
right? Don't you
Yeah,
think
I
that?
totally like that.
I don't know, like I don't really align with like feeling like I have to chase something
Yeah,
because we already
that's
have it
fair.
all right now.
We do, but that's very hard for the ego to accept that.
Yeah, for many humans, but the more you practice knowing that you have everything within you, the
It's
less
funny because that's something that I've been having to learn to balance in the now moment, because traveling across the country and seeing different ways of life and seeing the way of life that I really want to live, and then wanting to rush that. And this morning, something actually popped up on my Instagram feed, and I never ever scroll through Instagram, like ever. But it popped up and it said something about like, you often jump, like me personally, jump from a certain situation, bad situation, to another bad situation because you're just trying to escape it. And for me, being the bad situation is the apartment, and just like everything always feels like it's going wrong with the apartment. I don't like living in Missouri, you know, egoic things that I want to create as problems, when really it's about like slowing down, because the truth is that the fan in the living room, it could go out at the place I live at, wherever I'm living. You know what I mean? And it's finding that contentment in the struggles of the now moment that do they happen, and they're gonna happen, you guys. Like, no matter how aligned you are as a human being, it's challenges still rise. At least that's how I see it. Yeah, maybe when we're all anchored into 5D, challenges won't present themselves, but I mean, what's the point of living if we're not learning?
That reminds me of, yes, so throughout my life, I've always lost things.
Really?
Yeah, I throughout my life, it's probably because of the amount of light that I hold in my body. I was never diagnosed with ADHD or anything, but I definitely had symptoms, and that's just a third dimensional label, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, so I would always lose things that were important. Like I would lose my debit card and I would lose my keys and stuff.
Oh
And
man.
yesterday I couldn't find my keys. And I was like, I'm not going to replay the pattern of getting really mad and getting angry, and I'm just going to look for them and it's going to be okay. And I
And you
found them.
found
Like,
them?
yeah, I didn't let myself, like I observed myself and I observed the initial reaction of, oh, I'm going to get mad. And then I was like, nah, I'm going to choose different.
You
I'm
know
going to
what's
choose
so funny
different.
about that as well?
Huh.
Is that you likely will never lose anything ever again. And I say that because 2 years ago, I had that same experience where I was losing things all the time and feeling so scattered about it. And I would get anxiety because I'd need to leave and go somewhere and I couldn't find the things I needed to find. And I just was like, you know what? I'm going to let go of it. I'm going to go do something else. And then I swear to you, they'll pop up, because that's the law of attraction, right? You let go of it and then it comes to you. And or manifesting things, you let go of it and it comes to you. And so I did that, and I don't even know how it happened, but I went back to the kitchen and the keys were just sitting on the counter. And so now anytime that I think I'm losing something, I'm like, I don't need it right this second. It'll come to me when I need it. And it'll be 30 seconds later and the thing that I need is right there. And I'm like, is the universe like just testing me? Are they playing a prank on me? Like, what is going
They're
on?
reminding us of how it works.
It is exactly how it works. And it works down to the smallest things, like losing objects. And the more that you can find it in the small, like microscopic things of life, the easier the big things become, I think. It's
Yeah.
like,
I'm just so
magic.
present, and I'm so paying attention to what's coming up for me. Because when you
yes.
pay attention to even the smallest things of losing your keys, or the small things of whatever it is, right? The more that you pay attention, the more that you will be aware of the triggers that are coming up for you.
Yes. Yes.
Every trigger matters.
Often the ego wants to latch onto the triggers and then create more resistance instead of just allowing. And it is such a nice place to be able to allow where we can, and not have to concern ourselves with really anything. I mean, like I try to have really zero concerns and accept that anything that happens is really meant to happen for one reason or another. Who knows what it may be? Maybe I'll never learn why it was that it happened, but I know it happened for a reason, even down to the keys being missing.
Yeah.
Like, it's silly, but it's true.
Yeah. I don't remember why I mentioned that, but
no, it's fair. It makes sense. And a lot of people can resonate with that. Like, the scatteredness of life making you not be able to slow down and just be like, you know what? The keys will show up when they show up. Like, I know it's harder when somebody has like a 9-to-5 job, because that's where I was actually whenever I was struggling with it. It would always be on Mondays and I would always not be able to find something random. And you just got to let go. If you're going to be 15 minutes late, you're late. What?
It used to drive me so nuts, and pretty much everybody in my reality knew that around me. They're like, "Oh, Morgan just always loses things." Morgan just always loses.
They put the label. You started to believe the label that they put onto you.
Yeah.
I had that as well, because my family would always say that I used to lose my glasses, and I don't even know, like, again, it was just one of those things where the house was never cleaned, and we've talked about that. That's like something, childhood trauma is a whole different ball game, a whole different story we could talk about on a different day. But it's one thing after another. And I think my neighbor's coming over here, just so you know, and she's elderly, so she doesn't really understand probably what I'm doing at all right now. So we might have to take an intermission.
Okay. My dog is going off.
She'll be just a minute. Here, maybe we can stop the recording and I'll merge it.
Okay.
Be right back after this paid message. That's manifesting it. Fun. Okay, we are back from our paid sponsorship. Let's go. What was your question?
Talking about.
You said you had a question.
Oh yeah, I just got a question. It was, when did you know there was no going back?
No going back on the mission?
On, like, I'm pretty sure they meant on our awakening. Like, when did you know you could never go back to sleep?
Oh, that's a good question. If you have your answer, go ahead.
Yeah, when did you know there was no turning back? ? Let's see. I was tapping into the information, and immediately I said after I googled 1111.
Yeah.
After that moment where I saw angels, when I googled 1111, after I started seeing it all the time, that's when I was like, nope, like, there's angels around me, bro. I gotta know more about these angels. And then it was kind of like I snapped awake.
Yeah, for me
So
as well.
standing
I
in
mean, from that
dominoes.
point of snapping awake. So for me, what happened was I started to realize that when I was at work, okay, so certain things would happen, and I realized that I was like, quote unquote, predicting the future or manifesting my reality in a sense. And when I started realizing that, like how deep it really went and how painful it is to really be in that like unconscious state of not understanding and not knowing or staying unconscious, I knew that there was no option for me to stay unconscious ever again. I had
After
to be
you knew that you could manifest.
after I realized that I was manifesting either way. Like I'm manifesting, we're all manifesting everything that happens to us, whether or not we're conscious of it or not. And that was when I realized that I
I create
had,
my reality.
yeah, yeah. I just saw like an orb just float across the sky, like in a rainbow shape.
That's
I
so
don't,
cool.
I don't really know what it was wanting, but it was really interesting.
It was
Um,
just saying hello.
Yes, it was saying hello to all of us here. But yeah, it was the pain and suffering of staying asleep that made me wake up. I couldn't handle the pain and the suffering anymore. I just couldn't. It was either, leave this plane of existence or wake up and try to find something new. And I was
That's
just,
exactly where I was at too.
yep.
Was
I mean,
either leave or wake up. But I
yeah,
didn't really
that
even
was
know
a
what.
really good question, man.
Yeah, it was.
That was such an insightful, beautiful question. What was the one that was for me that somebody commented on my Instagram? Oh, how did you know that you were a star seed? You go
How did
first, because I think yours is going to be more elaborate than mine.
So the first thing that comes to mind was that on 4/20/2019, I had a past life regression. And in my past life regression, so I started waking up and as a star seeds, I didn't know I was a star seed, first of all. I didn't know the difference between a light worker star seed, no idea about any of it. I just knew that I was here for a greater purpose.
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted to wake up really fast. So when I first started waking up, I really got into past lives.
Yeah.
And I would sit on YouTube and I would watch past life regressions.
Wow. Like with Dolores Cannon, or you don't remember who?
Maybe, I don't know. I would just sit there and watch past life regressions for hours. Like the ones that
Wow.
people would post, I would just watch them for hours and hours and hours, and I was so interested.
They are
That was
very
the
fascinating.
that was the first thing that really activated me, was
Mhm.
remembering that humans have past lives. That like this body, it was kind of a remembrance of I am not this body. I am a soul experience.
Yes, it
Yeah,
was
it was.
you finally seeing it and realizing it.
Yeah,
That
so
is
this is going to be a pretty long answer, but
you're
oh
good. Go
well.
ahead. Go ahead.
Okay, so I would watch those for hours and hours and hours. Then I was like, boom, I'm in a past life regression. So I was looking up people to get past life regression, so I went and got one.
Yeah.
And I was sitting in the session and I was in a 9/11 scene.
Wait, who did you get this with?
It was a past life regression therapist in Colorado, in Denver.
Wow. We don't have that here in Missouri, dude. I'm not kidding you.
Oh, really?
I mean, maybe I could find somebody, but I think maybe there's like one past life regressionist in Missouri. Sorry, I'm not trying to change the subject, but that's so cool. Okay, anyways, keep going.
Yeah, so I actually couldn't get in for like 4 months. So I was like anticipating this regression. And I just went with my intuition, with whatever. And so I got there, I was in a past life regression, and I went into the session and I saw myself. It wasn't really me, but I saw myself in a body for some reason. I don't know. But my guides I wasn't aware of my guides.
Yeah.
I mean, I was aware of spirit guides, but I wasn't really communicating with them or trying to. But
Sure.
my guides were communicating to me when I was at a scene at 9/11 at 911,
Mhm.
because I saw myself there.
That's nuts. Especially
And
when you were alive during 9/11,
I thought that I
right?
had a
What year
simultaneous
were you born? If you don't mind
98,
saying. 98.
1998. So I thought I had a simultaneous life.
That's what I keep thinking I have. Keep going though. You're fine.
Yeah, so I thought that I just had a simultaneous life at 9/11, and then I started seeing 9/11 everywhere. So I started seeing 911. So I was like, okay, well, that's just confirmation about the life at 9/11, right?
Right.
And then
I've never heard this story, you guys, just so you know.
that's weird.
I
Anyways,
know.
so
That's what I'm thinking. What the heck?
there's a lot to tell about each other, right?
I mean, yeah.
So then I trying to figure out the timelines of how it all went. But anyway, so about almost a year later, I had a session with Lori Ladd, a private session, where she was like, "Oh no, you don't have any past lives." And I
And
was
you're
like, "Well,
like,
that makes
wait,
sense."
but I experienced one.
And I was like, I kind of already intuitively knew though, you know. I already knew,
So
but
do you feel like the past life regression was kind of like my Titanic experience, or do you think it was like
oh no, I definitely did not live a life before. Like I never that my guides were just trying to show me with the 911 thing, the 9 to 11% light quotient.
really? So you don't think it has, remember how I told you about the Titanic and how I was actually one of the it's hard to explain, you guys, but I was one of the way showers there in spirit during the Titanic. And so it made me believe that I was there as a human.
Oh, I never thought about it from that perspective. Maybe I was there
Right.
from the higher realms.
You may have been some form of your higher self or a parallel of you that was there helping people to either make it out alive or, you know, to pass on and pass
Yeah, I
over.
never thought about it that way. I probably was there. So I was just viewing myself there from the higher
Yeah.
realms.
I mean, if you think about it, since we're all source energy, we're all actually everywhere at all times, which is hard to comprehend and understand. But
Mhm.
truly, we all tap into every energy and we all really can. Weird, crazy.
Yeah, so anyways, so that's when I really remembered that I was a star seed was my session with Lori Ladd. And I was like,
I
oh, the
love that.
9/11 makes sense because the 9 to
She said you
11%
were
light.
Syrian. I've watched it. I've watched half of it so far. I knew that at some point it would. So like I was gaining a lot of resonance from your video with Lori Ladd somehow. It was just hitting me very deep in understanding, maybe more of you, but I haven't finished it. I need to finish it. But yeah, for me, I wouldn't say it's as complex. So I found out that I was a twin flame in 2018, and from there it was the rabbit hole that started everything. And whenever I was in separation with my twin was whenever I really realized um
You're
I'm a
breaking up, I
star
can't hear
seed.
you.
I was seeing star seed things everywhere. I've never actually personally paid for any guidance from anyone ever. I have had people intuitively give me free services often. Sorry, I felt like there was wind, so I was like trying to guard it. Um, but no one's ever formally said it. Obviously, you've confirmed it after I finally told you, because I've known for a long time since 2019, like February of 2019, that I was from the Andromedan system, but I didn't align with it like at all. It
It
just,
wasn't time.
yeah, I knew it because that's what I was told. And it was in a much more physical form. Like I was seeing Andromedan things everywhere. And I had, before I even knew it, I had a background on my computer of the Andromedan galaxy, like just intuitive things that made no sense. And so I was like, yeah, but then I read on Google all the traits of an Andromedan and I was like, I don't feel like this is me at all. And as I'm tapping into my higher self, I'm learning that this is me. There's a lot of me that is Andromedan. And same with Archer as well, which is very interesting. But obviously, he doesn't, like, he'll point to it in the sky, but he doesn't know what it means at all. But that's how I did.
Mm-hmm.
Very somebody, the term, the reason I came across the term, I believe, was because of Aaron Dowdy, actually.
Yeah, you told me that his podcast or something.
Yep. His videos. And then after his videos, I went down that rabbit hole and just things were popping up without me even having to look. Sorry, guys, I'm taking a drink.
Yeah. So I just feel called to say this really quick. Starseeds' work is designed in the higher realms. So Lightworker is a 3D human explaining things in a third dimensional way. And a starseed is vibrating in the higher frequencies, looking back at a human, teaching them, or not really even teaching, it's reminding.
Right.
So there's this pull, there's this force when starseeds start to wake up is, where's my work? I just want to get to work. Did you have that?
You know what is very funny about that is I've had that for a while, but I've been nervous to step into it. And then something, I know what it was. I needed, so nothing in the external was really like serving me or like giving me any motivation, like at all. What are you doing?
That's how it goes, bro.
I mean, like nothing was. And then I don't want to say like, oh, Sedona did something, but I think being in the vortex really, really, it made me realize what I deserve here in the physical realm. And just because I don't need the nicer, finer things doesn't mean that I shouldn't pursue them, and go as far as I can with it and do whatever I can with it. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's such a program to believe that money is evil or that abundance is evil or anything like that. And it's taken me a long ass time to reprogram myself to realize that I'm not going to turn evil if I have money.
Yeah, for me, like it was kind of just like, I want to impact humans. Like it wasn't about like the material things. I was like, I just want to impact humans.
That's exactly what I was gonna go with, is that I've realized these ways that I can make more and more money. And I'm like, one of my future goals, I'm gonna just throw it out there. My guides are like, it's fine, throw it out there. I want to buy like a massive apartment complex in St. Louis and allow homeless people to stay there, and like for lower rent, and help them get kind of rehabilitated into not being homeless anymore. One of my biggest missions has always been the homeless people. And I don't know, I think it's one of those things where I know how much the human connection really is. And so if I know someone is out there that's homeless and not eating, then in a sense, I'm homeless and not eating as well. And I just can't wait. I've really fueled myself into this, like the more I help, the more I make money, the more I make money, the more my free, just all of it's aligned. It's all aligned as abundance.
The homeless has really affected me too in my life. I remember I just used to be a kid, and it would, since I was so empathetic, it would literally feel like I would have to disassociate from my body when I saw those people.
Because it was so painful to see them.
Yeah, and the part of the thing was like, I was mad at humanity for
allowing it.
I was like, how can this be a thing? Like, it doesn't make any sense to me. I don't get it. And that, like, it's part of being a star.
Yeah, and one of the massive things during my awakening was really waking up and realizing that nobody is going to, this is like a message to everybody, we all have to stop assuming that somebody else should fix the problem and just be a part of the solution, man. Like, this is more,
it's where action comes into place.
Yeah. And that is what's going to change the world. That is what's going to shift everything. And we're all stepping into it because we're all seeing it. We're all understanding the human collective is connected 100%.
Yeah. So the next question, so my guides are telling me to answer questions.
Yeah. Go back.
So the next question we're going to answer is, how did you learn all of your knowledge regarding this?
Oh yeah. You go first. You want me to go first? You want to go first?
I'll go first. I'll just go by what my intuition is telling me to say.
Yeah.
So all the information is within you. And when you come back into your body, you access the information. So how did I know all of this stuff? Well, you know all of this stuff too, but it's within you. So how you remember all of this stuff, instead of going from how do I learn this say, how do I remember this?
Yes.
And it's about coming back into the body. Because when you come back into the body, you feel the density, meaning the lower frequencies that you have digested throughout your human experience, but you haven't felt because it's been too intense to feel. You feel those lower frequencies when they come up into your now, and that's how you come back into your body. Because when you feel, you heal. And then when you come back into your body, the frequency in your body increases, your light codes that hold the information turn on.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's how I remembered. I felt, and I came back into my body.
Yeah, I agree. I remembered by experiencing it and reflecting on my own life and the ways, and then also listening to other people as well, and hearing and realizing that everybody always has, nobody is ever doing, at least my opinion from what I've met from people, is that nobody is genuinely ever doing anything maliciously. No one's ever genuinely doing anything to be mean or wrong. Most people are just living out of fight or flight, and they're living out of fear. And when you come from that perspective, you can have so much more compassion, start remembering things about yourself, and open up and accept. And that's how you remember, is by loving and
loving yourself
and loving others.
But in
for a
order
lot
to
of
love
us
others, you have to
starseeds,
begin to love yourself. It always starts with
for us starseeds and us light workers and way showers and whatever you classify your spiritual, path to be, we automatically typically love others, and that's very easy for us. It's the loving ourselves and remembering that's hard. And
then it becomes so much, when you begin to love yourself and accept yourself, it becomes easier to love others. And I was going to say, the thing that I hold within me is every single human is doing the best that they possibly can with the level of consciousness that they are at.
Exactly.
And when you
Perfect.
hold that in your body, you don't play the victim anymore, and you don't blame others. But what I was going to say about you learning from others is their light codes activated you by listening, right? So their frequency, if you just look at it as energy, their energy that they were giving you activated you.
Yeah. I mean, and I always had a very open heart for everyone, but in my 3D life, I did not have a ton of compassion for people. And it was because of like things that had happened to me, and I would very much be like
Bitter.
in this mindset of like, oh, well, they're saying their life's so bad and this happened to them. If only they knew what had happened to me or what's happened to me. And I had to get out of that victim mode too. One of the massive parts of remembering and waking up is moving yourself out of victim mode, because that is going to keep you stuck in the same cycles over and over and over again.
Yeah, but when you're in victim mode, you're out of your car, meaning you're out of your body.
You're completely out of your body.
But when you come back into your body, all of a sudden you're sovereign. All right. Let's see the next question. I don't know if we did this one. Did we do when did you start your awakening journey? I think we did that one first. When did I start my awakening journey? Okay, we haven't done it.
No, we talked about it before we recorded, and then I was like, wait.
Oh, really? Oh, yeah. Do you want to go, or do you want me to go?
Dude, if I even knew what to say here. So when I was 19, I did DMT, and it rocked my ass awake to the point of like fearfulness. Like I suddenly like saw the divine matrix, sacred geometry. Meat looked like what it is, dead animal. And I was not ready like at all for it. And I quickly, I want to say like I closed my third eye. Literally, I shut it. It went from, being just the normal kid life that I had with the standard third eye that was, calcified and damaged because of society, but nothing more, right? And then that experience happened, and I like padlocked it. just locked it away, didn't dream, because right after it had happened, I would have nightmares about like all this weird stuff. And I didn't remember any of it until I met my twin flame. And then suddenly that experience came back to me in full force. Things just started aligning better. And really, anybody who's a twin flame knows that that's what woke them up. And that's just the way that really, a twin flame, I guess that's a second wave twin flame, because there are people who are awake already that I believe are twin flames. But that's it. I mean, I don't have a better story for it. That's just what it was.
Yeah, for me, so my mom died in 2016. My stepmom died. I was depressed and suicidal for an entire year. I started doing heavy drugs. I started doing Molly like 1 to 3 times a month for a year.
Oh my God. That's
yeah,
intense.
I was on survival mode. I was so sad and I was so depressed, and I thought about killing myself 24/7 for an entire year.
You know what's interesting about that? Not to cut you off, but I'm gonna go back to mine and then we'll go, if you don't mind.
Yeah, go.
Because that really hit me. And with the authenticity thing that my guides wanted me to do, ironically, 2016 was when my stepmom died as well. And my ex-husband's mom had just died as a month before, and then a month after my stepmom died, my dog died. And my son Archer was born in the midst of all of this. And my husband was an alcoholic, and it was just like I really was going to kill myself. It wasn't just me thinking about it, it was me thinking about how was I going to do it. And I would like imagine different ways that I would do it. Trigger warning, I'm sorry guys, I should have said that before. But I think I told you this. I learned about the law of attraction because I started selling makeup, and the makeup people were all about the law of attraction stuff. And I started visualizing. They said to start with like a gratitude list, and they said 3 things every night, write down what you're grateful for. And I wrote down 2 things, the kids, Jaden and Archer. And I could not think of a damn thing else. Like I couldn't think of one good thing or one reason to live. And I would sit there for like 45 to 50 minutes, just finally scavenging down like the salad that I ate for lunch, and feeling just like, even right now, I'm feeling upset about it, like there was no gratitude in my life. There was no appreciation for anything that I had. And, it really, the reason I say my twin flame woke me up was because the first day that we met, it was like when I looked at him, I remembered him and he remembered me, and we didn't have to speak to know it. And we didn't know why, obviously, but from that moment when I met him, it was the third thing. Even if he was just a friend, it was that he was here and he understood me, and somebody understood me, man. Like that was it. Somebody finally understood me. It wasn't a romantic thing. It was this person is anchoring me here. Finally, somebody's anchoring me here. And I'm so grateful that that's expanded. Like I have you now, and I have everybody that's watching this, but it is a very hard spot to be in. And I think that when you're waking up, the reason that you're waking up is because you know that there's nothing left to live for in the third dimension. And that's like heavy, but real,
Are you done?
Yeah.
When you said that, when you said the part of someone understood me, remember this morning I was talking to you about
Yes. I didn't even think about that. I did not think about that when I was talking about it, but
so I just want to touch on that before I get back into my story. So I was talking to Ciara this morning, and I said, the reason I was suicidal my whole life is because nobody understood me.
Mm-hmm.
I felt like nobody understood me, and I felt alone. And I felt like since nobody understood me, I couldn't communicate with people. I had no communication and no connection with people because nobody around me understood me.
Right.
So yeah, that's why I was suicidal my whole life. One of the reasons. So when you started saying that, I was like, oh my God, I know that happened for a reason.
Crazy, right? I didn't even think about that. And the words just came out, and it was what was right to say and how I really felt at the time. But I think it's something a lot of people can resonate with.
Yeah. So anyways, back to my story.
Yes, please. I'm so sorry.
So my mom died halfway through my senior year of high school, and I went directly into suicide, depression. I don't want to be here. So I started coping. I was high 24/7 on weed. I would do Molly and ecstasy every single month for multiple years, 1 to 3 times a month, just to keep me alive, because I was that far gone into not wanting to be here. And then it's so long ago, it feels like now, like a lifetime ago.
It does. Trust me. That's how I felt when I was talking about it as well.
Yeah, so a year after my mom died, so a year after I was doing the drugs so much, I tripped acid after a rave. I was already on Molly. And when I tripped acid, I had a bad trip on acid. My entire reality collapsed. I was in an ego death for about 4 to 5 hours on and off. And it was one of the most traumatic experiences of my life. So after that, I don't know how long, maybe a few weeks or a month later, I was so done with being here and I had nothing left to live for. So my last resort was one day, I've told this story a lot, but I'm going to say it again.
Oh, please. Yeah.
One day I was in my car and I was about to go to my shift at Domino's. And I said to the universe, give me answers to why I'm here. I'm going to kill myself. And then I started to see 1111.
That's just proof.
And that's how I woke up. Because when I Googled 1111 one day, when I kept seeing it every day, when I was in Domino's, I was standing there and I was like, I immediately just connected the dots.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, oh, angels all around me. Oh, I asked the universe for answers. This is not a quitting. This is not by accident.
No,
right?
Definitely not. Not at all.
So yeah,
that
so
made
it was
me think
trauma.
something.
It was trauma that woke me up. And in order for me to demand the universe for answers, I had to go through massive amounts of trauma.
Right. I agree. And my guides are saying to say this doesn't mean that you have to be on the brink of like suicidal.
No, definitely not. Yeah.
Not at all. Not to wake up. No, that's just our path. And luckily the earth is vibrating even higher than it was back when we woke up. Mm-hmm. And it's not necessary to go through that level of suffering. All you have to do is look at your external world and realize that nothing in the external world is ever going to bring you happiness. The way that connecting with your guides, connecting with yourself, connecting with your internal guidance system is going to, you know?
Yeah. So yeah, that's really important to say. I'm glad that you said that. You don't have to go through that. Some people one day just are like, okay, I want to wake up now.
Yep. You don't have to go through that much
happens.
suffering.
They're like, okay, I'm ready now.
Yep. And that's perfect. That's what the light workers from like, when did the light quotient on Earth hit 51%? Was it in 89?
1987.
87. That the work that every light worker has been doing since that point has been so that you do not have to go through the suffering that many people on Earth have went through. And that is not to say that people aren't still suffering massively on Earth, because some people truly are, but you don't have to do it. You can exit the matrix whenever you want to, for any reason whatsoever. There's no reason too big or small. You don't have to play into the game anymore.
Yep.
And that's powerful when you realize that. I actually, when you were talking, I realized, so that I feel like that was my 3D awakening. I feel as though Sedona was my 4D awakening into 5D. And I don't know if you maybe could agree with that experience, but I feel as though Sedona woke me up that I've been in 4D this whole time. And I am ready to just be in the 5th dimension and just exist there. And I am there whenever I'm in nature and whenever I'm hiking and whenever I'm doing those things. But I want to be there and just be there and be there with everyone, you know, and do what I need to do my part to make it ready and just keep going.
there's a lot of, because when you're anchored in a 5D field, your body's no longer physical. Like when you're anchored in 5D, your body, goodbye physical body, right?
Yeah, it's a
So it's
light
a
body.
it's a long process to get there, but we're doing it.
Yeah.
And first we have to anchor neutrality first.
Yeah. I think we are though. I think a lot of people are. I mean,
Anchored in
neutrality is just
neutrality?
seeing. So yeah, because neutrality is just seeing. Hi birdie. If this bird comes down with us, I'm gonna be so happy. Come here. Not gonna worry about it. If you are able to look at the darkness in the world and understand that it's for a higher purpose, a higher good, and it's everything playing out the way that it needs to play out, that is neutrality. And I do believe that you see it that way. And I definitely see it that way. And a lot of you guys that are watching or listening, I'm sure you see it that way as well. And it may hurt sometimes because we're humans and we know that there's other humans suffering, but we also remember that they're choosing it. And that might be really hard to hear when you're thinking about like homeless people, things like that. But we really do create our reality down to everything, man. I literally am looking at a light flashing right now that says 3D from my mic. That's so weird.
That's
And then
cool.
this mic says 666 on it. I'm like, what's happening here? And I just noticed it. But
Aligned as heck.
yes, yes. So there's nothing wrong with the third dimension. We all chose to play in it. We all came here because we wanted to. Like we literally wanted to see, I don't know, to test
This
our
experience
faith.
isn't available anywhere else.
No, nowhere else in the universe. It's like I'm getting chills thinking about it, man. We are in a truly, completely unique situation right now.
We are. And it's a gift. It's a
It is.
massive gift. When we're no longer in this physical form, we're going to be wanting to be in the physical form. Like,
Yeah.
I want to go experience that sadness again.
It's like when we hear that, when I hear that, sometimes I just laugh because I'm like,
No, thanks. Are you sure? But it's because we're in it.
we're in it, we're experiencing it. And thank God for it. Okay, so what's the next question? I don't have any other ones.
Let's see.
There might not be any other ones.
There's one more. I forgot. Oh yeah, it was about my quantum leap. When did you quantum leap? My bad. What was it like? What was your one big awakening moment? I quantum leaped on April 31st. Oh my gosh, is that today?
No, it's the 30th.
Was it April 31st? No, it was March. It was March 31st.
March, I was gonna say I don't think there's 31 days in
It was
April.
March 31st, 2020. And was it a big moment of just aha? It was a moment where I surrendered the external world. I surrendered not reading a book, looking at another person for answers, another creator, another anything. And I surrendered that everything is within me. And that's when I quantum leaped. That was the last thing, at least. I mean, there was a lot of things like leading up to that. But when I surrendered and just let go of looking outside
that
of
is
myself,
a quantum leap.
It was a quantum leap.
A complete surrender of not knowing what could happen, but trusting it anyways.
And when you surrender the external world and you trust that you have everything within me, by the way, physics is what activated me.
Yeah.
Studying quantum physics, because when I studied quantum physics, it was science. It was like that third dimensional hard proof
it
that
is,
I needed.
yes.
That everything.
Gosh, it's amazing, isn't it? It backs it all up. It backs up everything.
So that's what made me believe. Yeah, it made me believe with everything in me that nobody else was going to tell me the answers. Because, by the way, P.S., for months before that, nothing was resonating with me.
Holy cow. Okay, my laptop's dying, but real quickly, I wanted to say, I had two quantum leap experiences that came up when you were talking about it. The first one was whenever I finally left my husband. And that was a massive, massive leap because like I didn't have a place to live. I just said, I'm leaving. And I started calling people and finding out where I could go. And it was scary because, you know, telling him the truth, like, about being in love with someone else was freaking impossible. And we weren't even like together. We were just cohabiting together. I'm sure anybody who's been married and went through the same situation knows what I'm talking about when you say it was over and there was no repairing it, and it was like just the comfort zone is what was keeping me there, like nothing else. I did not want to be there. And then the second one was going to on the trip 2 weeks ago, because I don't know if you guys know, but like I have an older car. I have a car that has over 100,000 miles on it. It's, you know, we replaced the tires, we did what we could, but driving a car that many miles, I think it ended up being, y'all, I think it was 15,000 miles. No, it was 8,000 miles. 8,000 miles straight there and back. And then also having the leap of faith that nothing would go wrong for me was massive, but it really did. It showed me something new, and it shifted my drive of what I want to do through the roof. And so if you have something that you can't get off your mind that you need to do or you want to do, just do it and trust, because that is a quantum leap. It's really that simple. It's not anything, you know, that no one can attain. We all do it anytime we go for something we want without fear. That's how we do it.
It's letting go of that ego.
Yeah, it's letting go of the ego. But yeah, I think my laptop's about to die, so I'm so sorry, you guys, but
It's
we
all
will be
good.
making more.
Oh
Definitely.
yes.
I mean,
Yeah, I
we
was
already
just
made that
thinking.
one video,
Yeah, I
but
was
we need
thinking
to,
as you were talking about how much stuff we have to talk about.
oh, we can just talk and talk, and you guys can leave any questions for future podcasts that you have down in the comments if you'd like.
Any topics that you would like us to cover? Anything at all?
Yes. Hit
I
us with
love
it.
you, Star
Love you
Friends.
guys. Bye.